Yeah, it is just 1 minute to 4 o'clock, so we should start on the dot, I think.
Yeah, 4 o'clock we'll start. I think Divyesh, you also take us live to YouTube.
Yeah, I just started the live YouTube.
Okay.
I think
Okay, I think let's get started.
sure.
Okay. It's a warm welcome to all of you. It's my pleasure on the behalf of Ananth Pratishthan to welcome you on our series of sessions which we conduct on a regular basis on various issues related to the society. Before I request Tejaswini to tell us something more about this initiative, just a few hygienic announcements. I request all of you, except those who are speaking, to be on the mute. Most likely our admin will keep mute. Those who are speaking, you can go unmute and speak. Also, those of you who want to ask any questions, please put on your chat window, and we have our compilation team will compile your questions and will pass it to the speakers. So please, I request once again to add your questions to the chat box. Coming back to our announcement, so this is Ananth Kumar Pratishthan's. We on regular basis we conduct session on issues related to society, related to life, and this is third in that series. For the further details, I'd like to invite Srimati Tejaswini Ananth Kumarji to share more details. She is a social entrepreneur, passionate about nation building, our children's nutrition and green lifestyle. The trustee of Ananth Kumar Pratishthan, an organization committed to carry forward nation first projects close to Kumarji's heart, including leadership development, public policy research, healthcare, green lifestyle, and so on. Tejaswini is also chairperson of Ananth Adamya Chetna, a social organization she founded and has led for more than 2 decades. There are lots of achievements in this. Just to add a few, in this Adamya Chetna, her work has positively impacted millions of children, which includes everyday nutrition midday meal to more than 1.5 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs underprivileged school children. In total, Adamya Chetna has served more than 500 million meals under her leadership. These meals are prepared in a zero garbage in kitchen, and she keeps adding to the innovation to the process. In fact, that is amazing. Not just we are feeding the children, she keeps adding innovation to the process of this whole complete initiative. She more than 230 consecutive Green Sundays she has organized, and more than 230 means it is more than how many years? More than 4 years continuously, and which encouraging, motivating number of citizens of this country, this city, to go for green plant. She designed model for economically sustainable village. She is also a founder trustee of Sankara Cancer Foundation, which works on cancer prevention and provides affordable cancer treatment. She has worked as a scientist on development of Tejas, which is now recently introduced in the Indian Air Force. She holds an engineering degree in electronics and PG diploma in ideology. She was awarded an honorary doctor for social works. Thank you so much, Tejaswini ji, for sharing. Please let's welcome her. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sujit Kumar ji. Thank you, all of you, for enabling us to conduct this Nation First Dialogue 3. I am on behalf of Ananth Kumar Pratisthana and all the friends, relatives of Shri Ananth Kumar and Ananth Kumar Pratishthan. I would like to welcome everyone who have registered and who are watching this program for this Nation First Dialogue number 3. And especially today's the title itself is so exciting, artificial intelligence in public life. In fact, when I shared this title to many of my friends, they were really saying, oh, what is it? We've heard about it, we've been hearing about artificial intelligence, but what exactly, how is it in our, it has literally come to our lives actually. Initial days we were thinking it was in e-commerce, then it came into banking, and then now in computers, now right in our mobile phones. It is there, whether we know it or we don't know it, artificial intelligence has become part of our life today. And as an organization, like I have been associated with Adamya Chaitanya and now with Ananth Kumar Pratisthana. And as we all know, Ananth Kumarji from his age of 16, even earlier, he was always thinking and always worked for the society, for the cause of the society, cause of the people. And in fact, he is the first person to have a website, have various technological tools to reach out to people, do good work for the people. In fact, even in the last days, making sure the fertilizer reaches every farmer in time was one of the biggest challenge which we couldn't crack for more than 70 years after independence. But he, as a fertilizer minister, he used all these tools, the technological tools, the technological innovation, and made sure that fertilizer was reached to all the farmers of the country in time. And that was a big boon for the farmers as well. So through Ananth Kumar Pratisthana, we thought, why not introduce such things for the people at large? Let's understand what it is and how we can make use of these things in our work, in our day-to-day life. And in fact, I should thank Shri Sujit Kumar. I have to introduce him because he is the right person who has put so much of effort. We got two main speakers today, Dr. Rajat Moona and Dr. Vijaya Deepti. I welcome both of them for this Nation First dialogue on artificial intelligence in public life. I welcome both of you, Dr. Moona and Dr. Deepti, for this event. And it is, I am thankful to Shri Sujit Kumar, who is a technology professional. After working at companies such as Infosys and Nortel, presently he is an entrepreneur running an edutech company called mindmatrix.io. And in fact, they are providing affordable quality learning to students from higher education. And most interesting part is he is using artificial intelligence for appropriate skilling and for personalizing the learning for the diverse set of students. And he is member of Pan IIT Alumni AI Forum and had recently conducted an Pan IIT conclave on artificial intelligence. What does the future hold for India? Very interesting conclave. And the report of this conclave was submitted to Government of India. And I think he is the best person to organize this event. And today we have registration from all over India, more than 700 plus many are faculty members of engineering colleges. We have a couple of principals of directors of engineering colleges with us in the panel. I welcome our chairperson, Professor P.V. Krishna Bhatt, and also the other governing council members, and we have so many dignitaries. Probably I would like to welcome them after our presentation on Ananth Kumar Pratisthana. What are we Ananth Kumar Pratisthana is doing, and why have you taken all these kind of projects? I would like to welcome the other dignitaries because they are joining one by one. They are joining our this seminar. But when it comes to artificial intelligence, it is like many of us would like to know how, what is it like when computers came, many of us were wondering, whether a lot of people, Indians, are going to lose jobs. Educated people may lose jobs, and already there was a lot of employment. This I'm talking 30 years back when I was just graduated. Many people were saying computers are coming in banking, computers have come everywhere, even in the hotels, restaurants, and people are going to lose jobs. But we have seen what happened, and India, with the help of IT, we emerged as one of the most intelligent countries of the world, and we leveraged that whole information technology, and that's why probably where are we today? We are on a webinar connecting some 700, 800 people, and many more watching us on YouTube. So even when it comes to artificial intelligence, I am sure, as an engineer and also working with some lakhs of thousands of schools and lakhs of children of underprivileged sections of the society, but I feel this is one area where we can really, as a most intelligent country, we can really leverage, understand what it is, and try to make use of it for the society. In fact, I invited some of the even heads of some but Swamijis, two Swamijis are expected to join. I invited some people in the education field, people in the health area, in agriculture area, trying to know how in each sector we can really make use of artificial intelligence. That was the thought. And I'm sure this is the first one. I'm sure with the help of the experts, those who have come today, with their help and with we can really take it forward. Maybe we are looking at having such webinars like artificial intelligence in agriculture, especially. Probably I think it's very much required in that area, artificial intelligence in health sector and so many such areas. And this is the first one, the first nation, first dialogue on AI, which Ananth Kumar Pratisthana has been is trying to propose before you. And I welcome all of you, all the Ananth Kumar Pratisthana, all the governing council members, Shri Pradeep Oak, Shri Raju Bannur, D.R. Subramanya, all of you. And maybe after once they join, I'll introduce others in the panel. Thank you. Yeah, Sujit Kumarji, thank you so much. I think what next? Aishwarya will present on.
Yeah.
Aishwarya will talk on Ananth Kumar Pratisthana.
Aishwarya will present. Yeah, exactly. And thank you so much for your introduction. Because indeed, these are happening. I would like Aishwarya Ananth Kumar to share the details on the Ananth Kumar Pratisthana. She is basically a practicing advocate and executive member of Ananth Kumar Pratisthana. Aishwarya, please.
Namaskara to everyone here, and thank you, Sujit Aure. Thank you, Tejaswini Aure. It's so nice to see so many faces today, as in it's a Saturday evening. So this is really motivational for all of us. I know all of you are very excited, and we all want to hear what Professor Rajat and Dr. Vijaya have to say, but I'll take a small minute and jump into this presentation. I'll just share this presentation. It's taking a little longer, yes. Give me a moment. Yes. So before we jump into today's Nation First Dialogues, I want to briefly introduce this very young but inspiring organization called Ananth Kumar Pratisthana. Now, Ananth Kumarji was a person who left a lasting and deep impression on every person he met. And all the people who worked very closely with him were so influenced by his, as Tejaswini ji always keeps saying, was so inspired by his Vyaktitva, Kartutva, and his Netrutva that around 2 years ago, um, his own political guru, a couple of his very close friends, his associates, came together and established a foundation called Ananth Kumar Foundation. Now, what does this foundation do? So to understand that, I think we need to look at what kind of a person Ananth Kumarji was. In brief, Ananth Kumarji had a very illustrious life. He was a 6-time MP from Bangalore South. He was a cabinet minister who held more than 10 portfolios in the central cabinet. He was a mass leader. But what kind of person was he? Now, Ananth Kumarji had a very empathetic nature, and this pushed him to deeply study about how our society and country functions. It is, and when he did this study, he realized that if one has to be in a position to offer something to others, to offer anything to just our people or even to our company, our organization, to our family, or to a nation, one needs to work on themselves and work on themselves in a very uncompromising and untiring manner. And he very popularly, therefore, said that the society handholds the ordinary, but it takes the extraordinary to handhold the society. Now, what did he mean by it? It doesn't mean that a person is born extraordinary. You need to work on yourself, as in that is the tyag that you do through your life that makes you extraordinary. Only an extraordinary person can lead. That's what he meant by it. And these ideologies, these ideas of Ananth Kumarji really inspired our leadership team, and they started Ananth Kumar Foundation. I want to briefly introduce Professor P.V. Krishna Bhatt, who's a noted educationist. He's presently the Chancellor of Odisha Open University. He's the former president of ABVP. We have Tejaswini Ananth Kumarji, the chairperson of Adamya Chaitana. She's very well known for her green lifestyle, quick ideas and tips. We have the very acclaimed Dr. B.S. Srinath, who's an oncosurgeon. He's also the founder of one of the largest cancer hospitals in Bangalore, the Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital and Research Institute. This is a photo of when Ananth Kumar Pratishthan was started in 2019. So when the team looked at how Ananth Kumarji was able to go on this journey of being a son in a middle class family to a student activist, and that rise to being an influencer at a national level, a person who left his mark in the politics, a person who left his mark in the society, how did he do this? And when we actually looked at it, it all boiled down to 3 simple words. And that is learn, act, and lead. And in that very specific order. As in, order is very important. And that's what he did also. As in, the first initial years of his life was spent in accumulating and learning. And then a big part of his life was in immersing himself in this political and social activity, and that sort of gave him the confidence, the ability to lead. And Ananth Kumar Pratishthan wants to give this kind of environment, this kind of space for new emerging leaders, not just emerging leaders, to each one of us to enter into this space and be able to do all these things. And how do we do this? So basically, in 2 words, AKP, that's Ananth Kumar Pratishthan, wants to be that catalyst, that springboard that can help break through a career plateau, or break through in launching a new career. It could be anything. So the main three sort of centers that Ananth Kumar Pratishthan has come up with is the Ananth Kumar Center for Leadership. Now, Ananth Kumar Center for Leadership will be organizing small courses, small certificate courses, diplomas, which will be aimed at training emerging leaders to really understand the Bharatiya ideology when it comes to serving our country and serving the society. And the skills that one will learn here will can be used in various fields. These are life skills that will that can be translated and used in the technology field, in the legal field. And I actually, as a lawyer, I'm feeling out of the place here among so many of you who are immersed in the technology field, who are leading the technology field in India today. But then this is a course which is not aimed at any particular sort of stream of education, but it is aimed for everybody who wants to sort of uh, have that edge, who wants to go that extra mile, who wants to build themselves in such a manner that they can offer something, provide something to others. And to do that, you need to become, as Ananth Kumar used to say, you need to sacrifice that much more. You need to spend that much more time. There is also the Center for Ecology and Green Lifestyle. This will be completely inspired by the work of Tejaswini Ananth Kumarji. Through Adamya Chetana, she has been running many activities which bring the society together, which bring the society into building a sustainable future, into doing small things which in our life bring a green change. And that's what the Center for Ecology and Green Lifestyle has been established for. The Center for Preventive Healthcare was inspired by Ananth Kumarji's work as the Minister for Pharmacy. As the minister who handled the portfolio of pharmacy, he always said that we have come to a time where there are so many lifestyle diseases, and we cannot just look at it in a very narrow manner. It has to be a holistic way of looking at it. And Dr. Srinath ji, who was the who runs Shankara Cancer Foundation, who's now leading this organization, he suggested it was his idea that it should be a preventive healthcare policy should be in place. And how do we develop this? And with that idea in mind, this center has been established. There will also be museums and which will help us sort of understand his life, which will help us take inspiration from the path he took. In essence, he was like any of us, a common man, a son born to a middle class family, but his journey to becoming a national leader, his journey to be able to be a very efficient administrator who actually introduced the metro to so many cities, his journey to be a mass leader. This is inspiring, and we want to share this story. And so I think this today, this Nation Foundation is one such activity that we wish to continue to do this kind of activities. So stay with us, be connected on our social media channels. Very exciting courses will be soon announced. Thank you everybody for giving me this opportunity to talk about Ananth Kumar Foundation. I, as a lawyer, even I am excited to attend one of their courses and better myself. I hope to see many of you here today, be part of Ananth Kumar Foundation in the future. I will now request Sujit ji and Tejaswini ji to take us further. We're all excited to listen to Dr. Professor Rajat and to and Vijaya madam. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving this really a very nice session. And I'll come to Tejaswini ma'am. I'll come to you so that just before that, I thought to tell Aishwarya, this is a lawyer field. You are not the, please don't feel outside this technology area. AI is the area where lawyer needs the maximum. If you look at the India country, law, one of the area where need lots of technology attention. And AI probably will solve many problems in the area of law. So please, your area is one of the area where AI can play a major role public life. Before I move, probably I'll request Tejaswini ma'am to, if she wants to, she mentioned that she would like to welcome a few.
No, I think,
Welcome, and
Sujit, I think we will take it. Sujit, I think we will take it later. I think we can start the program now.
Before we start this program, just I'd like to share one small experience. While one day I had a chance to talk to Ananth Kumar ji. Just to know Mithila culture more than probably I know.
Sir, you're muted, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir. Yes.
So today. Due to the national policy on artificial intelligence in a working paper titled National Strategy on Artificial Intelligence. And Niti Aayog identified 5 focus areas where AI development will enable growth in this country. Those areas are like healthcare, agriculture, education, urban infrastructure, mobility, that is transportation basically. Which we are going of set of activities happening worldwide. Lots of activities are happening.
Sujit, your voice is breaking continuously.
Okay, is it better?
Well, let's try again.
So I was sharing that in the AI area worldwide, lots of activities are happening, and as Tejaswini ji was mentioning, India has to take a leading role here, and for that leadership role, we need to have such a. It is very important to have public awareness among AI, and that's where I think this nation first dialogue session will create public awareness. So for that, we have our 2 eminent panelists today, one from industry and one from academia. I think that is the combination we have today. So for, is it okay, Raju, audible?
Please continue, slightly better, but I think hopefully the speaker's connection is better.
Okay. So let me introduce you my first speaker. First speaker is Srimati Vijaya Deepti. She is the CEO of Tata Insight and Contracts Division of the Tata Industries Limited. The organization is focused on working with the Tata Group companies on leveraging advanced analytics to address business challenges. She is a member, Board of Directors of Tata AIG General Insurance Company Limited. She was the Tata consultancy service for over 3 decades and played a number of roles both at corporate and business unit level. As a part of the corporate governance team, she supported a number of SBUs in their strategy initiatives and programs. Deepti's experience in delivering large-scale transformation, coupled with thought leadership, enabled her to be sought after business advisor to CXOs of global corporations. As a long-standing member of TCS Business Excellence Council, Deepti has been responsible for driving Tata Group's business excellence. In December 2009, She was conferred as Leading Businesswoman of the Year, awarded by Women Leaders in India. A quick learner who brings passion and dedication in everything she pursues. Deepti is also a change agent. She is a reader of books on management, leadership, and innovation, amongst others, and leverage this learning to drive positive changes within the organization. Now I'll request her to share her thoughts on the topic. Deepti, please. Over to you, Deepti.
Okay. Thank you and namaskara. It's an honor for me to be a part of this session. Can you hear me? Yeah. So it's
Very clear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's clear. Please.
So it's an honor to be a part of this session and this event. So on AI in public life, it's not an easy topic. But the interesting thing for me is that AI has been used in weather forecasting for a long time. The industry that I have worked with for a long time in my career, insurance, they have used the stochastic modeling and probability theories and all that for a very long time. And that is the genesis that AI has had, and the impact and the influence it has had in the way we have run our businesses. So from an AI perspective, I think the industry itself has been evolving for the last about 60 years now. And there has been a lot of work that has been done in multiple areas. One of the most far-reaching and widespread use of artificial intelligence has been in weather forecasting, has been in in the ability to predict disasters, and the ability to forecast when typhoons or when storms or when there could be a likelihood of disasters happening. But this has been something which has been in existence for a long time. Over the last about 25 years, the use of AI has been far more pervasive in many other industries. Like you all mentioned, healthcare has been an industry which has adopted, and I heard one of the speakers say that AI is not artificial intelligence; it's augmented intelligence. AI has helped or helps healthcare professionals to take better decisions, to look at whether it is in drug discovery, to look at diagnostics, to look at the treatments and so on. So in each of these areas, artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence has played a pivotal role. In the areas that you had mentioned, which is the cancer research, I think that is one area where a lot of investment, a lot of work has been happening in terms of leveraging artificial intelligence. Beyond just the use of artificial intelligence in drug discovery, one of the things that has happened and has been happening is in terms of predicting the spread of diseases, the spread of one of the challenges that we had last year was in terms of what would be the type of curve that COVID will follow in India. What would be the impact? Can we identify hotspots? Can we look at building up infrastructure? I think there have been a lot of work that has happened. There are specific epidemiological models that have been using artificial intelligence, and those have helped to an extent many of our policy makers, whether it is in WHO or in India, actually with ICMRs and so on. And I think that is a brilliant place where the artificial intelligence has played a very big role in terms of how India dealt with COVID actually. And I think as a Tata Group, I'm really proud of the fact that the Tata Trusts were one of the first companies, first organizations to initiate support in terms of providing ventilators, and in terms of now even the test kits and so on. I think there's a lot of work that the group has been doing in this space, and there's a lot more that we can do, including in the area of identifying potential treatment plans and so on. I think that is something which is very exciting. It has been happening, it is evolving, and there's a lot of work that is happening and will continue to happen. So beyond health and healthcare, the one interesting thing is in terms of wellness actually, and all of us are very comfortable with our Fitbits, with our the tracking of how many steps we have taken and so on, and most of these go back and feed into our wellness programs. And I think that is another very interesting way of where AI and has come into your personal life beyond the institutional capabilities actually. And I think this is going to only be more. So where we would have these devices and wearables which will not just track one or two parameters, but many more. Whether it is the BP, it is now the oxygen levels. There could be many other parameters that it could track, and which would help us in managing our own wellness actually. And I think that is another very interesting area where artificial intelligence has played a big role and will continue to play a very important role. The other area, which is again very close to me, and I'm very happy to hear, it's also an area of interest for the Ananth Kumar Pratishtana, is in terms of agriculture. Again, one of the things that we have been doing within the group is to look at fertilizer delivery. How do we really make it appropriate to the soil conditions actually, rather than just doing a spread of the fertilizers? How do we really target it, make it really relevant to that specific soil condition, to that specific crop? And these are areas of research. These have not just been researched, but they've also been practically implemented in many parts of the world to look at enhancing the production from the farmers. And it is a combination of the crop management, the seed management, the weather and impact of weather on the growth of the within the fields and so on, and also how do you predict the right time for harvesting? I think the entire life cycle of how agriculture will be dealt with and will be impacted by artificial intelligence has been under development under the whole ages of AI in agriculture. And this is something which is not just new; it has been happening for a long time now. I think at least for 10 to 15 years now, where a lot of work has been happening across multiple companies and multiple countries also. So beyond agriculture and health, I think the other interesting perspective is in terms of, I know Sujit Kumar ji, you are part of the education field, and that is where the whole cognitive training, cognitive development, and personalized development and personalized educational programs will play a big role. And with the change in the way people learn now, the behaviors are different. So more and more AI will play a big role in this. So each aspect of our life, whether it is in food, in agriculture, in health, in wellness, in treatments, and in the case of the way the society will interact with the people, and the public and the private interactions, all these will be impacted quite a bit by AI. And we hope that and we believe that AI can make a difference in the way institutions work, not just amongst themselves but with the society at large. With that, I just want to hand back to Sujit ji, and request you to take back the control. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deepti. Indeed, it's great. And I'll come to you with a few points. But before that, let me talk to Professor Moona also. And then I'll come to some of the points to continue our discussion. So our second speaker is from education. Education is his passion. Let us welcome Professor Moona. Rajat Moona has had a variety of professional experience, ranging from teaching and research to development to technology and standards. He loves to build systems, and his goal is to see more and more deployment technology to make life easier. And I think that is the true sense of true essence of any technology. His specialties includes education, research, training, technology, development, like cybersecurity, smart card, e-tokens, RFID, etc. Presently, he is the director IIT Bhilai, since 2017, basically. Prior to this, he was the Director General of CDAC. He's a professor at IIT Kanpur Computer Science Department. He did his engineering in computer science from IIT Kanpur and his PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He, with his students and colleagues, has authorized 10 patents, several research papers and books. He had been instrumental in defining applications such as a smart car driving license, vehicle registration, e-passport, electronic toll collections, mobility card, etc. And Professor Moona, every day at least one of these things we feel. All these innovations which you brought is really helping our common man. Professor Moona is a recipient of several awards and recognitions, including Indo-US Science and Technology Fellowship, IESA Techno Visionary Award, Fellowship of Maharashtra Academy of Science 2015, and National Award of Election Commission of India 2016 for the best electoral practices. Professor Moona is an active member of the Technical Committee of the Election Commission of India for EVM and has been instrumental in defining the EVMs and VVPAT. He has also been instrumental in defining National Voter Services Portal and National Electoral Search for the Voter. So over to you, Professor Moona.
Thank you, Dr. Sujit. It's my proud privilege to be associated today in this talk, which is artificial intelligence in public life. I also heard just a little while ago, Madam Tejaswini ji and Madam Aishwarya talked about Ananth Kumar Pasthan, and it's a wonderful initiative that has been taken. And I really like this, phrase, which is Vyaktitva, Kartavya, and Netratva. And these three together have actually brought in quite a lot of very interesting focus and an outlook into this Pratishthan. Ananth Kumarji was a well-respected person in public life and admirer of technology, and therefore it is my proud privilege to be in front of all of you to actually talk about this. Let me try to share my screen so that it actually becomes a little, I have just set up a few slides, so I thought I will actually work with that. So let me first talk about artificial intelligence. The story of AI actually starts several billions years ago. Some extraterrestrials somehow landed life on this planet, and it was an artificial intelligence for them. It becomes a natural intelligence for us. In last 8 decades or so, we have actually done quite a lot of remarkable things. And the history goes into chemistry. If you look at these two atoms, these two elements, carbon and silicon, both are group 14 elements. Carbon is the element which was implanted several billions of years back. Silicon is the element which has been used in last 100 years or maybe 80 years and has actually brought in huge amount of computational capability to all of us. Now both are group 14 neighbors, very stark similarity, and one represents the life, human, plants, animals, everything. Another one represents electronics and computation. One is a God-made system, the other one is a man-made system. And with that in reference, I thought I will actually talk about how technology has evolved. In 70s and 80s, it was primarily data management. 80s and 90s, it was primarily collaborative computing, algorithm-driven computing, and now in last 2 decades, we have been seeing huge amount of intelligence and application-oriented computation coming up. So it is distributed computation, it is blockchains, it is data centers, it is cloud computing, it is reservation systems. And almost everything actually brings in good amount of intelligence and applications. So now I will probably skip this and come straight into intelligence. Deepti talked about some of them. Sujit Kumar talked about some of them. But I think we are looking at intelligence, and I don't want to actually call it artificial intelligence because there's nothing really artificial about it. It's really an augmentation of intelligence or augmentation of natural intelligence. So, intelligence in education, intelligence in drug discoveries, intelligence in precision medicines, intelligence in data analytics, intelligence in image processing, machine learning, pattern recognition, automatic diagnosis, cognitive learning, healthcare, agriculture, you name the field, everywhere it sits. I mean, if one is talking about defense, there is an AI. One is talking about disaster management, there is an AI. One is talking about transportation, there is an AI. And huge amount of artificial intelligence can today shape up the way we actually look at it. In fact, Deepti talked about weather forecasting and weather prediction. Such a capability that has actually been developed in last few decades that when we have hurricanes or in the Bay of Bengal, today our entire machinery of administration work towards this because they get these indicators at least a week in advance that such a thing is going to happen. They almost know what kind of intensity these things are going to bring in, and therefore entire machinery moves into that direction to safeguard, to bring the safety of humanity and in the life. So, in fact, one of the major applications that we're talking and people have talked about healthcare, which is increasingly becoming dependent on cyberspace and computation systems. So this is what I say, silicon comes to the rescue of carbon. It was just not possible for natural intelligent people to be able to look at the data, look at the statistics around it, look at the patterns around it, and get to a conclusion. I think computation brings that capability to human being so that they can actually look at the data, look at the intelligence out of it, look at the meaningful information out of it, and then take action accordingly. So this excitement of artificial intelligence is around the corner is palpable. Everybody talks about this. People talk about driverless cars. People talk about drone deliveries. People talk about instant machine translation. As I'm talking in English, maybe somebody, some machine somewhere can probably translate this to another language, speech-to-speech translation. And all of these things are just around the corner. People actually can see that they are the goals which are achievable, and people are actually talking about that. So we are using artificial intelligence almost everywhere. Today, we talk of Google Map, we talk of various systems of navigations, and these are crowdsourced traffic conditions which assist others. Pathfinding, optimal pathfinding. I mean, all these are AI applications. Sharing of ride, Uber, Ola, and almost all ride providers actually provide a mechanism of ride sharing. And these ride sharing are actually possible by doing certain kind of autopilot. In fact, today all commercial flights use it. I mean, it is often said that landing and takeoff by autopilot is far much smoother than the manual pilot. It's on the joke side, but nonetheless, the autopilots have reached to that capability where it is completely instrument driven navigation system and instrument driven landing and takeoff. This is an AI. AI can help shorter commute, fewer accidents, lesser red light waits, and lower fuel consumption. Self-driving cars, autonomous vehicles, drone deliveries, these are just kind of things which are likely to happen in time. All of us actually are the users of email. And it is estimated that 90% of the emails actually bring spam. These are the emails which nobody wants to see. And without a spam filter, it is just simply not possible to look at the mails. Spam filters are AI applications with machine learning. In fact, Gmail claims to filter almost close to 99.9% spam mails successfully. This is I think I can probably share my presentation again. I hope my presentation is now visible. So, email characterization is a statistical system as well as machine learning system. I mean, in fact, email aggregation, smart reply, and these kind of things are newer set of applications that will come where email is automatically replied to based on AI. Again, huge machine learning and huge AI application. In education, grading and assessment, this particular year, we actually had a major issue of education. In the COVID-19 brought education to a grinding halt, especially the offline one, and almost overnight, everybody switched over to online education. It was a possibility. It was a possibility because of various AI applications, online examination, online assessment, machine-based grading, online education system, online video conferencing. Many of these things, in fact, this particular thing that we're talking of, this particular area today, the WebEx, itself is an AI-based system where it does quite a lot of noise cancellation, quite a lot of pleasant experience of deliveries of talks and such kind of things. In future, we probably are likely to have personalized education, adaptive learning, lesson making, or maybe at-risk identification to find out is somebody likely to know more or likely to know less, and these kind of things. Is somebody at risk of getting a F grade or fail? And such kind of assessments, such kind of things can possibly be done a priori, and quite a lot can actually be done. Finance, people talk of automatic check processing, which has been in process for a very long time. But there is a huge amount of intelligence which has been brought in, including signature matching and such kind of thing. ATM-based transactions, is the ATM actually leading to a fraud, or is the ATM is genuine one? That itself could be a AI application. And I think yet another big application is loan and credit rating decisions, which are again bringing huge amount of AI or fraud prevention and such kind of things. I think social connections, connecting people on various social media platforms. Facebook provides mechanism where pictures are automatically tagged. It's an AI application. Identification of faces and names and such kind of things. Image enhancements. I mean, Instagram and such kind of things actually do a beautiful face enhancement of people for prettier faces. And that itself is a huge AI application. Modern cameras, triple camera, quad camera, double camera. Again, there's a huge amount of AI that goes around it. So I think we have already seen a lot of mobile apps like personal assistants, Alexa, Google Assistant, Cortana, Siri, and all that, voice to text, translation systems, smart homes. I mean, such kind of AI applications are very much in place. Biometrics, we talk of personal safety, identification, immune system, fingerprint and face-based recognition. Again, huge AI application. But I think a lot more is coming on AI and machine learning. For example, machine learning is a form of an AI where machines can pick up, machines can learn the way modeled around the human learning. So you repeated learning, repeated looking at it, and therefore driving out intelligence out of it, and showing series of photographs, for example, to identify a person. This is a man, this is not a man. This decision itself is a learning. Later, use this learning to find or arrive at results. Machine learning continues to add its, you know, features and learns on the job. Every photo that it identifies correctly or incorrectly gets added into the learning set. The program effectively becomes smarter and better and completing its task over time. And machine learning brings a lot much more potential. Data security. I think we are becoming so much data dependent that data security is a huge problem. Ransomware, many of our friends and others have been attacked by ransomware. Malware is increasing hugely. So such kind of thing, personal security, airports, metros, public places, trains, all of these things, you know, identification of threats and taking remedial actions using image processing can possibly be done in various machine learning forms. Over the years, several other things in technology also has happened. For example, seismic exploration to find out is there a gas or oil under the soil. Okay, and that itself is a machine learning exercise. In fact, I will probably go into healthcare where people actually talk about disease identification and such kind of thing. In fact, quite a lot is actually done in pathology, looking at the X-ray images to find out is there a bone density problem or is there a fracture or something. Often machine eye works much better than radiologist eye, and they can actually bring out potential area which radiologists can confirm and say, yes, this is what it is. Predictive analytics to diagnose brain-based conditions like tumors and depressions and such kind of. In fact, the treatment today is also largely AI-driven, where I mean, as simple a thing as gamma knife surgery, for example, where various gamma knife beams are focused onto the problem spot and tumors of the brains are actually operated upon without opening up the brain anywhere, without any bloodless surgery. This is a huge AI application that comes in. So I think I will probably stop at this and look at the question answers and interactive session which is planned after this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's such very insightful information, Professor Moona. It's a great thing. So in fact, both of your both session as we are getting more and more questions, and that is a very good part of our both of your sessions are indeed it's giving lots of questions from audience, and we'll continue asking both of you. But before I come to this audience questions, Deepti, you mentioned about the soil condition and all, and in fact, agriculture is close to the heart of Ananth Kumarji's. It was close to the heart. So you mentioned about how is that you measure the fertilizer amount, moisture, etc., etc. Can you just also briefly tell us how is that impacting the farmers? Is it saving the cost, or is it increasing the productivity, or it is increasing the predictability, so that or it is reducing the effort by farmers? How is that is helping farmers? If you can brief us about this, will help us to understand exactly how is that AI is benefiting our farmers.
I think all the things that you have said. That's the way it will help. It will help the farmers in identifying what type of seeds. Even if you take cotton, are there specific variants of the seeds which are appropriate for the soil that is existing on that specific farm. And the second is, given the atmospheric conditions, can we identify what is the type of water, how much of water should be added and so on. Also, given again, there are cyclical trends for pesticides, attacking specific crops and all that. So can we use those to identify the likelihood of an attack actually, and then use again specific pesticides to just very targetedly focus on killing those actually, rather than doing a complete spray. So from a farmer's perspective, it has an all-round benefit. One is it helps them in saving, in first identifying what is the type of crop to be grown, what is the type of seeds to be used, how much of watering is required, what type of watering is required, how much of fertilizers is required, what type of fertilizers are appropriate for the soil. And as important is from anticipating the type of pesticides that are likely to attack the farm, and then seeing what type of pesticides can be used actually. So there are different technologies again that are being used, whether it is sensors, whether it is drones, and so on. So I think that between drones and sensors, they add a lot of insight, and they provide a lot of data which the backend models can use actually. I think that's the combination, but it does help a farmer in multiple ways actually.
I think this is wonderful.
And Sujit Kumar, we have Dr. Vishnukant Chatpalli with us, who is Vice Chancellor of Karnataka Rural Development and Panchayat Raj University of First University of Karnataka from Karnataka. In fact, Dr. Vishnukant is.
I want to ask a question, if I am allowed.
Sir, I don't know that we'll be able to give you the right answer, but please go ahead.
No.
We come from a very different background of data science and not your domain. So you have the domain experience, we have, and the expertise.
Question is, no.
Yes,
you
sir.
are in the field of expertise. I also agree with the same terminology which you are using. It is not artificial intelligence, it is augmentation of intelligence.
Thank you,
and now there is a gap between the understanding of the farmers at the ground and what you talk in terms of technology. So my suggestion is, can we create some small mechanism in the initial stage and then go for high technology? Because the people, those who are in the ground level, even don't have this kind of facilities in their villages.
I mean, yes and
Rajat.
yes and no. I know there are a lot of cooperatives. I mean, interestingly for me at least, farming has come a long way from where my grandfather had his farmlands and the type of crops that they were growing, to now where I think the farmers are very well educated. They keep abreast of what is happening from a technology perspective. And there is another group company called Rallis, and we have worked a little closely. I can't say we have worked very closely with them, but they have also been trying to do a lot of research in terms of some of the areas that I was mentioning, in targeted pesticide delivery, targeted fertilizer delivery, and all that. And I think there is a lot of research that is happening between both the academia and the industry. There are a lot of very large organizations such as the Bayers and the Basels and so on globally, who have been looking at digital farming from in a very big way. And it is, I think, a big challenge to see how
And Vijaya Deepti and Rajat, and I'm very happy to see Sujit also. And this has been the first statement made by Tejaswini was, this is exciting, and this is exciting for me as the Vice Chancellor of University in the rural area to implement this in a pilot mode.
Yes, sir.
Thank you
This is
so
my
much, sir.
only request.
Sure, sir.
Thank you so much. And in fact, your inputs, such inputs are very, very valuable moving forward. Professor Rajat, you'd like to add something to this, Professor Chatpally's?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can add something more. Deepti already talked about quite a lot on agri, but I would actually add yet another thing. In ancient times, most of our agriculture was chemical-less. There were no chemicals, no chemical fertilizers were used and all that, all natural fertilizers. And natural fertilizers, organic farming was basically the real thing that was, and it is actually absolutely clear that organic agriculture produce actually provides much better nutrition and is free of all variety of other elements which could even be carcinogenic in some cases. Now, microbes in the soil, fungus in the soil, and all such things actually often are considered to be the enemy of the agriculture. Okay, but then there are people who actually talk about they are not really an enemy, but they actually support the agriculture. So the question is, there is a balance that one has to look at. By suitable moisture control, by suitable temperature control, and by suitable exposure to sunlight control, the yield of agriculture has been shown to increase by as much as 20% at times. In fact, if you look at any agriculture platforms or any agriculture fields and all that, often peripheral thing, the yield is less, and in the center yield is more. But by doing a little bit of additional controls based on AI, finding out the optimal amount of water, finding out the optimal amount of pest control, and doing various kinds of things, and in fact, even finding out those seeds which are resistant to the microbes of that area is actually a possibility using AI. So this is something which will actually increase the yield, and of course much better planning by looking at the agriculture produce, by estimating how much the agriculture produce is going to be, by drone based surveys and such kind of things. Much better government level planning can be done and food safety can be provided. Income of the farmers will increase by just simply increasing the yield and making sure that the crop is not destroyed because of the various kinds of pests that come in. As simple a thing as that can actually help.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Deepti, and thank you, Professor Moona. Now, say, for example, including in agriculture, and Professor Moona, you also mentioned about, like, say, for example, driverless car, and even in agriculture, if you introduce AI, do you think it will reduce the employment opportunity? How do you see that part? In fact, many of the people have this concern always. AI will reduce the number of employment will go down. So how to, and probably I would like both of you to comment on that. This thing.
Sujit, this is a very interesting question that you have asked. And, I can actually give you an example in the past. In 70s, almost all bank unions were up against the banking computerization. And they thought that bank computerization will actually reduce the bank jobs. The reality is that from 70s to now, the number of bank accounts have actually become 10 times. The banking facilities have improved. Customers have started liking the banks, and the total money in the banking system has increased dramatically. The total employment, not only it did not stay at that, but it actually kind of exponentially increased. Number of bank branches, number of banks, number of people in the banks have actually, this is a classic example of what technology can do. Technology does not replace the people. It actually help them, it actually provides them a mechanism to make better decisions and therefore provide better support and better. For example, I'll just take a very simple case in the healthcare. Today, our diagnostic systems are very expensive, and not everybody goes around looking for preventive diagnosis, right? If such a system is available and a medical system can actually do a better preventive diagnosis and therefore better medical health care, I think it is going to be a big value. And that would be a possibility because humanly it is just not possible. I mean, that will be possible only when we have support tools such as AI in the hand of people who can actually look at these and increase their bandwidth. So in my opinion, technology will always bring lot much bigger employment, not reduce the employment. And it will also increase the level of expertise among people. I mean, you probably will not need those kind of people who can, in the banks, who will just need to do an addition and subtraction, but they can probably utilize their intelligence in much more fruitful manner to provide better services.
Yeah, I appreciate your thought. In fact, being heading education institute, you provide people and who get the employment. So let me go back to Deepti, who gives actual employment. How do you see these?
I think Sujit has a question.
Actually, AI has created a whole new set of skills. Actually, the number of the capabilities and skill levels that you have is possibly exploded from where we had the traditional coders actually and the programmers. So from that perspective, artificial intelligence has added more roles. But like Professor Moona has said, what it helps the end users is to take better decisions, to look at prevention of fraud, to identify what is the best way, personalization, what are the recommendations that they can get, and that's the power that technology has. And I think both of us have been with technology for decades and decades, so we have only seen how technology has played a very pivotal role in transforming society rather than the other way around. Where you stand in queues, long queues at the banks to withdraw, your 100 rupees, 200 rupees, and now you don't need to do it. Your Google Pays, the UPIs, and the net bankings and so on. You can do all those transactions there. You don't need to now look at cash transactions, cashless transactions. There's so many ways that technology has transformed the way common people will interact with each other, and in turn has helped in our overall sustainability goals. Actually, I think there are specific goals where if the fact that you don't use 100 rupees of cash means that you've saved X number of trees and so on. I think from that perspective, technology has also played a very important role in the sustainability area also.
I think your message that there will not be reduction in employment will have great impact. Sorry, please.
No, very, very nice interaction happening. And we have in this panel two educationists. Actually, many are there, but I'm able to see one is Mr. Raghunandan. Again, he's a technocrat. You would have heard about Vijaya High School and Vijaya College. In fact, when we were in school days, they used to bag 8 out of 10 top ranks of Karnataka. Wow. And till date, even now, and he's the chairman, he's an engineer himself. Now, like thousands of students are studying in their institution. He's there with us. I welcome him. And also we have Mr. Harish, who is again an engineer. He used to work with ISRO, but an engineer now. He's an educationist today. And he has some 8,000 plus students, and he has some 12 institutions in Bangalore and in surrounding of Bangalore. And many of his students and graduate students, UG students have joined today. And I think we should, even in the education area, more for a personalized training. Probably AI is playing a wonderful role. I think we can discuss some of it. And I see a lot of questions, Sujit Kumarji. We have a long list of questions in the chat box. I think Pannoor or somebody has to combine and
Yeah. We are, in
Place it
fact,
before the Ananth.
yeah, that
Thank
is
you.
a good part of this thing. So we are having many and many questions, basically. So I will start one question. This is from one of our audience, Kumar Swami S. How do you compare AI versus library services? Was I audible? Professor Moona, you would like to take this?
Did you say AI personal library services?
Versus library services. AI versus library services. I'm not sure exactly what is that meaning.
I can just take a stab at responding to this. But library services gives you a body of knowledge, and you use that body of knowledge to evaluate and assess how a problem can be addressed. And from an AI perspective, AI looks at the data that is available and looks at the relations between the data, and then identify what are the in terms of prediction of the likely outcomes. Actually, I think from a library perspective, a human being is expected to understand, evaluate, assess, and then look at identifying the specific intelligence, whereas possibly I'm just taking a guess here. Professor Moona, if you have any other
So I
responses.
would actually add on to what you said, and I will connect it to what Aishwarya was talking about a little while ago. In the law, every lawyer needs to know the case studies, and there are enormous amount of case studies which are available. Now the point is, if a lawyer has to go through all those case studies, it is humanly impossible. So they probably would have their own network to find out this particular case, is there an equivalent case somewhere or not, and all that. With the AI, there can be a summarization with reference to that. So it doesn't have to look at all the journals, but only those case studies, those cases which come closer. And that's a possibility. So AI actually brings intelligence of knowledge close to the person in terms of what he would like to have, a summarization. And then based on the summarization, it can actually be looked at, and only appropriate papers have to be looked at. All researchers like us face through the same dilemma. We work on something and we look at, has this been done earlier or not? In our areas, we keep looking at papers and all that, but often miss out on those. And today, the research works are being published enormously in variety of different places, and therefore keeping pace either in the medical or in the technology or in chemistry or in variety of other areas, sciences and all that, it's virtually impossible for anybody else to follow that. And this is what is personal library system, I would actually say. It is the intelligence, it is the summarization, it is the knowledge that actually is brought out to the seeker. Right kind of knowledge to right kind of seeker. And that is what is actually a possibility using AI.
In fact, Professor Moona, you talk about law and orders. So I have another question which is related to this. And question is, how can you use AI effectively in preventing crimes and thereby further improving law and order? Partially you answered this question in your previous briefing. Anything you'd like to add?
I will actually add, another scenario. I mean, I would actually change this question. I mean, in the sense, crime, in my opinion, is actually to look at people and find, are there criminal traits or not, and are there things which are leading to a crime. At right time, if you can find it, you can prevent the crime. Crime prevention is not, in my opinion, prevention of crime is not by punishing. Prevention of crime is actually taking right action at right time so that the crime doesn't happen. And that is a possibility because there's a predictive methods of finding out can there be a crime or not. But I will give you one very interesting thing that many AI researchers are talking about. AI systems are basically systems where algorithms and computer programs and all that can make their certain decisions. Programmers are known to actually write programs and many times with various kinds of malware or trapdoors inserted. So, for example, an AI programmer can actually make an AI system which is little biased towards something, and therefore, a stock trading option which is actually supposed to give you which is the best place to trade, but it slightly nudges people to actually say go and buy this particular company stock. Okay, and therefore artificially the stocks are raised. Can something be done so that the competition remains fair? Can something be done so that AI actually does not lead to wrong decisions being made? Can somebody actually say that AI decisions that are being made are provable, that there is no bias? So there is yet another kind of white collar crime that is likely to emerge with AI. And therefore, AI to handle those white collar crime is yet another field. Dependable AI, trusted AI, and AI to actually notice white collar crime in AI. These are the three things which are actually the newer areas which are evolving very rapidly.
Indeed, it is a grateful thought. Prevention is always better than like punishment. That's indeed a great thought. And you talked about programming and all these things. So related to that, we have question to Deepti.
Sujit Kumar, when we are talking about crime, and we have a very senior advocate from Delhi, Shri Mohan Katarkeji, who has done a lot of work with our rivers of Karnataka and river tribunal related. He is also there with us. In fact, I'm very happy and proud that such a very great people are there in this panel, and they would like to know more, and I'm sure they'll be definitely contributing with this thing. Thank you. I welcome Mohan Katarkeji for this.
Well, welcome so much. Welcome. Yeah. So Deepti, one of the question is this maybe from the students. I don't know, or maybe just finishing graduate. How does one start a career in? He's mentioning data science, or probably AI also you can include. Is there any specific requirements?
I think there are different areas within AI itself, actually, or within the career of how you use or consume AI. One is in the data engineering side, looking at data, understanding how the data is. Are there gaps in the data? Is there incorrectness in the data and all that? So that is the whole space of data analysis and data engineering. There is another area which is actually the model building and writing up algorithms and all that, and that is where the data science is a critical area. So where an understanding of the different types of algorithms, the appropriateness of those algorithms to solve specific problems, how do you actually structure the sequences of these problems, of these algorithms, so that you get a solution. Actually, I think that is the area which is a lot more knowledge driven and knowledge intensive. And the third aspect, which is the whole consumption layer. And the consumption layer could be through dashboards, through visualizations, through through integrations back into systems and so on. And that is the area again which is the human-centric capability. So it depends on, again, just because you go and learn a Python course doesn't mean you can become a data scientist tomorrow. I think there also there's a body of knowledge that you need to have, possibly a little bit of coaching, a little bit of experience, and there are different. There are multiple sites where they put out problems, and then you can go and try and solve those problems, and then you get feedback. There are hackathons. There are different ways of learning and building up on your basic knowledge, but again, there's a plethora of courses available, a plethora of online, offline, and all that. And the interesting thing, or the important thing from an AI perspective or from data science perspective, is only the experience that will teach you. When we have seen models which have failed after 2 months of use, we have seen models which have worked even after 2 years. And the only way that you do it is by learning, trying and learning, because there is so much of change happening. There is so much of I think transformation happening in terms of the quality of the algorithms that are getting put out, and what is available and what is not available. So I think from that perspective, each problem needs a different type of solution, and that understanding also has to be built up along the way. So there are simple ways of doing it, and we start off with exploratory data analysis, and then mature down to a data scientist.
So yeah, I think this will inspire our younger generation to move towards this more and more. And as a country, I think we need that. Also, I would like to know, Tejaswini ma'am, would you like to say something?
No, I just want to welcome, because which I missed in the initial time. I'll just quickly add. We have principal of the Ananth Sagar College with us, and also Shri Dr. C.P.S. Prakash. I welcome Dr. Prakash, and also I would like to welcome Dr. Krishnamurthy, principal of BNMIT, another leading institute of engineering. Both of them have artificial intelligence as a branch now, newly added branch of engineering. Just I wanted to. So that I welcome both of them. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, please go. Thank you. Congratulations. So, congratulations to that. Adding AI as a stream, that is indeed it's a great thing. So, coming to this, as a younger generation, or for that matter, anyone, and Professor Moona was also mentioning about like crime, how to prevent that crime, and for that you need lots of data. And then you do the data analytics. So my question to both of you is, how do you think a common man, I believe, and in this AI movement, everybody can contribute. It is not just a developer can contribute. Everybody can contribute, maybe by providing data or maybe by participating. So probably I would like to have both of your opinion. How is that a common man also involve, also participate in this movement?
Maybe I can actually probably talk not necessarily that common, but a little uncommon in terms of students who are technology students. See, basically, over the years, the computation has actually changed its color. Computation, which was in 80s and 90s, up to 80s, 90s, was algorithm driven, which basically means in our education system, we will teach people how to write algorithms, and they would actually run those algorithms on certain kind of data. Over the years, the data collection has become so much and the computation has become so affordable that it is not really today a computation centric view, but it is data centric. So you have the data, and your aim is to get intelligence out of that data. Your aim is to actually get information out of that data, knowledge out of that data. And for doing that, you whether apply this algorithm or that algorithm or AI or data science or whatever is not so highly relevant, but getting intelligence out of data is far much more relevant. Having realized this, we at IIT Bhilai have actually introduced a BTech program. In fact, among the IITs, we are the first one to introduce this, called Bachelor's Degree or BTech in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. Because artificial intelligence is a tool to extract intelligence out of data. And there are various other mathematical and statistical mechanisms to actually get intelligence out of data. AI is, of course, one of them. So, and we are very happy because this particular time we realized when we introduced that this particular branch, there's so much of excitement that the students who actually chose this branch, the branch opened and closed before computer science. So, in other words, the long-standing fold of computer science and engineering is moving towards data science and engineering. Data science and artificial intelligence. With time to come, I think every IIT will probably start it. But interesting aspect is that data science and AI is probably going to be the next generation of wave. So you start looking at your computation not from the algorithmic perspective, but from the data perspective. You are given a data and you are saying, okay, here is the traffic light conditions and the traffic going through this thing. Can you find out which particular hour of the day maximum number of cars pass through a junction? That is the requirement now. Rather than saying write a program which will count the number of cars, right? So in some sense, this is what is happening, and often people actually say that data is a problem because they don't get access to data. I actually do not agree with this, because data is available. There are techniques available where people actually can provide data without risking the security or safety aspect of the data or people. So in other words, anonymization of data, diversification of data, and all this is a possibility, and people can actually provide data for doing research related to this. And open data sets, there are enough number of open data sets available for education purposes and for developing algorithms or developing systems around it. So in my opinion, data is not a problem. Data is available with various IoT devices which are coming in. Data is more and more available, and artificial intelligence or data science programs can actually flourish very well. I am very happy to note that some engineering colleges have actually started this program. They are likely to flourish much more than, for example, computing in the time to come.
In fact, Deepti, Professor Moona decided to opt for a student perspective. Would you like to have something on the professional perspective?
I will add a little bit from an individual perspective. So one of the things that we all are faced with is a lot of feeds, news feeds, or alerts or notifications and so on. And for us to be sensitive that these could be in all probability bot driven, they could be sometimes fraudulent and all that. I think that is a sensitivity as citizens that we need to think of actually. Are we getting the right information from the right source, or are we just getting bombarded from different sources? I think that is the other thing that individuals or citizens need to be wary of actually. So you always get this notification saying that we as a bank will not ask you for XYZ and all that. But then, when you call back the number that they give you there, they say, no, ma'am, we have not sent you this message. The message sounds very authentic, but then how do you identify whether it is authentic or not authentic? And that is where, the diligence, of a person, makes a lot of sense actually. And that is something which only education will, help actually, because when we don't know that we are being taken for a ride, we don't know that we are being attacked by malware, we don't know that, and as much education as we can provide to people at large, it will help. So that's another perspective, sir.
I think that's wonderful. We have, in fact, a series of questions coming. So I would like to know, can we extend by another 10 minutes, although it's already 5:30 now? Can we have a few more questions?
Sure.
No, we have to. Pradeep, any thoughts?
Go for 10 minutes, I guess.
Okay, sure. Would you like to say something?
No, I think we can, because I can see so many questions. I think we can, if the speakers are willing, we can definitely take, I think.
Appreciate. So, Professor Moona and Deepti, is it okay? We can continue for another 10 more minutes? Sure.
Absolutely okay. Absolutely fine.
Thank you.
Yes, this series, in fact, next set of next question is coming is AI intruding in our privacy? How do we protect our privacy?
I think it is not that the AI is intruding into the privacy. See, the two things are independent. The latest thing of WhatsApp sharing data with Facebook is an intrusion in privacy, but that has not necessarily anything to do with artificial intelligence. Okay. The variety of different things where individual information is shared without individual's consent is an intrusion in privacy. That not necessarily be because of AI itself. In fact, the government actually worked towards a data privacy or data protection act, and I had been part of that committee to define these, where we actually define these to say individuals' data must actually have with individual consent. And we also define to say what are sensitive data and what is less sensitive data and all that, and what can be done and what cannot be done, how can it be shared. But the basic genesis remains that without the consent, explicit consent of a human being taken a priori, data cannot be shared. Now that is a law system which will actually help data being private or not being private. I mean, for example, when computers were not there, there were letters which would go from one place to another place, and some postman will open up the letter, read the content of it, and paste it again and give it. This is also an intrusion into privacy. So, in my opinion, two things are independent. The control of exposure of data, as long as it is given to the owner of data or to the person who is holding the data or to whom the data belongs, I think that is what is an important thing from a legal framework and a law framework. I don't think it is a technical issue as such.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, there are many more questions, so basically, if I club a couple of questions together, a question is coming like, how is that AI is help? And in fact, this is close to our Ananth Kumarji's heart. Like, how is that AI is helping in terms of common man's problem like poverty, education, healthcare? How is that is going to impact? And I think quite a few things are covered in this section. But is there anything specific you'd like to add more? Like say even including global warming, environment, all this type of social problem which nationally or internationally we are facing. Would you like to add some points on that? Many things are already covered.
I think social engineering itself is a very big application of AI to find whether various schemes actually are reaching to right people or not, or is there impact of those schemes, governmental schemes, is it how much it is felt and how much impact it has happened, and what has been the upliftment of people. That's a very strong input for policymaker in designing and defining programs to, for example, elevate poverty, food security, and disaster management, flood management, and such kind of thing. So the point that I'm trying to say is that visibility into the data actually brings better public policy making. And that is, I think, an important aspect of AI, which actually empowers for that particular feature, that particular aspect of public policy making. So the point is, can we elevate poverty using AI? The answer is no. But can we elevate poverty using right kind of policy? The answer is yes, we can try to make an attempt towards that because the right kind of inputs are available to handle
it. Professor Moona has given a very concise and interesting way of dealing with this. And the only thing that I would like to add is, that possibly, AI and the current computational capability that is available helps us to deal with and manage very large data sets and also look at multi-dimensional data, and that is where possibly the way the policies get formulated can be far more richer actually and far more cognitive, if you like it. I think that's the biggest advantage that AI can bring into the way public policy gets formulated in the future. It is already happening, and it will, I think, only just enhance the capability. As we see how things have, how we have been able to improve our decisioning capabilities. I mean, I would just like to give an example of what we did, as a country, with the way we managed hotspots. Our ability to predict what could be the potential hotspots. Look at what type of infrastructure that we would need to have, and build that up very proactively. That is what has helped the government and a lot of the public health policymakers to really deal with the way COVID was handled, actually. And I mean, and we've seen the impact of that. We've seen the outcomes of it. So I would say that we are living it now, thanks to COVID, and we can only do things better and better if we start embracing the capability that AI can give us, actually.
Absolutely. I think that's one wonderful thoughts. On next question is coming. This is in fact also summary of a few questions. What are the new innovations happening in AI in terms of maybe farming, agriculture, or maybe in transportation, or maybe in education? What all the maybe briefly what all the new things are happening in AI?
But I think one area that we are really excited as an organization is to look at computer vision. Actually, and computer vision could be it could have use cases in the domain of safety, security. I think one of the challenges is when you have factories opened up now, are the workers sticking to the social distancing norms? Again, these can be monitored through use of computer vision. So are trucks backing into a zone which is likely to have a danger zone. So a lot of emerging areas in the space of safety with computer vision is one area that we believe is going to be very exciting. The other area is in terms of the whole concept of twins. Actually, now currently we talk of digital twins. It started off at machine level. Now it is at the plant level, and is that possible for us to replicate at a societal level? We don't even know. We haven't even thought of that, but it's an idea that we would love to think through and see if it makes sense, actually.
I think a lot of new things which are actually coming up, like entertainment, movie making, and such kind of. In fact, during COVID times, several institutions, IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, and various institutions actually ran their convocation in virtual form, where the students were not there, but on the stage, a digital avatar was actually given out, and the degrees were handed over from physical space to virtual space. I mean, it actually looks like a memory, look like some sci-fi movie. Now, this is a possibility because there's a very clear message that pandemic or no pandemic, our businesses don't stop. I mean, this was actually a possibility today because of the computing, because of the artificial intelligence application. In fact, in Japan, a very famous news channel actually holds a news bulletin where the news anchor is actually not a person, but a digital avatar of a person. And flawlessly, the news is conveyed. Now, these are the kind of things which are possible. And, these are the newer things. Translation systems, I mean, if I go and talk to somebody, let's say, who is Korean, he doesn't know English and I don't know Korean, how do we converse? We don't have to converse using symbols and gestures and all that. It is quite possible today to actually converse using Google Translate or audio-based translation systems. And that is all AI applications.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
That's such a wonderful thing. Yeah. It's such a wonderful and fascinating. And also, I would like to mention and also welcome some of the, especially the three most popular colleges. One is the BMS Engineering College, we all know. Principal of BMS, Dr. B.V. Ravishankar is also with us. Then Professor Subramanian, RV Engineering College is there with us. Professor Sridhar, Principal of PESIT, PESIT is also there with us. And also we have Dr. Chitra Ravi from one of the first women's college of Karnataka, Maharani Ammani College. She's there with us. She's my classmate, by the way.
Wow.
Lakshmi Madekundri, one of the senior doctors, she is also there with us. I thank all of them for being here, and I think we will all connect each other so that we can bring in many more things. Especially I thank Moona and Professor and Vijaya Deepti. It's wonderful actually. Each answer what they are giving to every question is just wonderful. Sujit Kumar, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I know it's now time is also. Thank you so much. So before we just close, the last question, in fact, Tejaswini ji also mentioned about her classmates and all. They are here. As a woman, what is your? How do you see it is a AI in public in our day-to-day life? How is it benefiting women?
You're asking me a very difficult question. Okay, so.
I know.
I don't want to say that AI benefits only women or men, but I think there are the specific interventions that countries and organizations are doing, which is for maternal health, infant mortality. All these are areas which have benefited women quite a bit actually, and I think and I'm hoping that specifically those type of interventions will continue and will foster the health of a mother and the maternal health actually. So, but I think that is one area which I would feel I am not very comfortable with any other domain for a woman. So, but yes, this is one area which is very close to my heart.
Appreciate so much.
Yeah.
But I think there is one aspect that we need to appreciate. A woman is a multitasker. At home, running 20 things simultaneously in parallel and all that, and at office also. So they're multitasker. If some of those tasks can be simplified using AI, it would be a great help.
Especially cooking, sir. I think, Professor, if AI can help us in cooking because everybody needs.
Actually, ma'am, it's cooking is easier. If you can kind of train up our children that the cook not from outside taste similar to what you have, then we have a very good AI system. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. So.
because of like we get to know so many menu items, they want us to make this, that, which I think AI should help us in making cooking, hands-free cooking with AI. Yes.
I think if meeting would have been in person, then it was best tea time. We all are talking about cooking and food and all these things. So Pradeep, is that we have to close now?
I think so. I mean, there are still people there, but I think we are already 17 minutes beyond our limit. So probably we can.
All questions covered. I hope all questions are covered, right?
Yeah, what we did is like we tried to summarize the questions and clubbed various questions in one, and then we tried to go to as many as possible.
Yes, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if some of the questions are not answered, probably we'll try if we can offline on our social media platform. Our speakers can come and share their views, answer the questions. I will really appreciate that so much. So I'll request if it is possible, our speakers, our audience, join us on social media so that we can continue our discussion there. So this is my one request. With this, I will just before I hand it over to Pradeep. So basically, indeed thank you so much to our speakers, to our audience, and a special thank you to Tejaswini ma'am for leading this wonderful session. Thank you all, and I'm sure this AI will bring technology to the common man. One, and more than that, democratization of technology probably will happen as we move further. Thank you once again, and I will request Pradeep to deliver the vote of thanks. Pradeep is basically founder of Oak Systems. He's an alumnus of IIT Kanpur. He is also trustee of Ananth Kumar Pratishthan. Over to you, Pradeep.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Sujit. Yeah, it was a wonderful session. We didn't realize that already. We crossed the time. So and there's a flood of questions still. I think that also how people have shown interest keenly going into this topic. In fact, we announced this couple of days ago. I think about 10 days ago, the program was announced. Within the first 24 hours, we received about 250 registrations. I mean, that was really a wonderful feedback. In fact, that's how when we said, okay, how much can we bring in? And in fact, unfortunately, we had to close the registrations today at noon because otherwise, we were not able to accommodate all of them into our platform. So, and then requested those people, though they have registered, I think we received about 150 new registrations after 12 noon today. So we requested them to come on YouTube. Okay, so that's I think that also shows how India is becoming itself, making itself relevant into this topic. And I think sometime back I was reading a report, I think probably published by McKinsey, where it said, impact of AI by the year 2030. And then in that it was saying that one of the major countries which is going to benefit with AI, especially in terms of employment, was India. They had predicted a 14% increase in employment in India as compared to many other countries, especially the European and American countries, where employment may get impacted because of this. One of the major factors what we see is also that I think India is going to be the largest and the youngest country in the world. I think that makes a major difference. And we had wonderful speakers. Vijaya Deepti from Tata IQ. In fact, I met her after a couple of years, I think. Otherwise, we were colleagues more than I think 5 years ago. So thank you, Deepti, for sharing your experience. And you still have the same energy what you used to have 30 years ago, and more experience. And I think that is one of the major strengths that you had all portrait. So thank you for joining us on Ananth Kumar Pratishthan and sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. And definitely we will be coming back to you for many more advice and inputs from you on this. On behalf of Ananth Kumar Pratishthan, its trustees and executive committee members and all of us here, I thank you for joining us today. Similarly, Professor Rajat, Moona, in fact, I had heard about you. I think you joined IIT Kanpur faculty after I left. I moved, I think I left in 88.
That's right. That's right. I joined in 91.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So that is the thing, but many.
Before that, he was a student there, Pradeep. He was a student there before that, yeah.
He was a student there, oh, okay, but we didn't probably,
Yeah.
In fact, Professor Abhay Karandikar is my classmate.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yes, yeah. Right. So, and I think your insight as a researcher, as an educationist, and you mentioned about the social engineering. I think that's a very, very, very relevant thing. So we will have to, any engineering that we do, we have to keep the society at large in mind. And, as we always say, it has to reach to the last person in the society. I think where our research has to lead to. And I think, so you are taking a wonderful step there. And as IIT Bhilai is also taking the lead in starting the BTech course in data sciences and artificial intelligence, I think that will pave the way for other engineering schools also to follow. I think, and thank you so much for sharing your experience, your thought across, the governance and education, research, and what is happening across the world. I think thank you so much. We will be in touch, and we would definitely need your advice for our Ananth Pratisthana related activities in these things, especially in the policy formulation areas. Thank you so much. On behalf of trustees and executive council members of Ananth Pratisthana and all the participants, I thank you wholeheartedly for joining us here today. And uh, Sujit, I mean, you are the anchor, you are the moderator today, and so Sujit has been very actively involved with both Adamya Chetana as well as Ananth Kumar Pratishthan's activities last almost, I think, 10, 12 years. And and this is a topic which, he suggested, and, we tried to work this together, and wonderful. And the way you conducted the whole session today, and, very varied questions that the participants, and I think it was a very lively session. Thank you, Sujit. Thank you so much. And, as you are suggesting, maybe we might even have to run this as a series of sessions on various topics. So, on behalf of Ananth Kumar Pratishthan trustees and executive committee members and participants, I thank you so much for joining us here. Yeah, we have our.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. It's my honor and pleasure indeed.
Sure, yes, yeah. So the trustees of Ananth Kumar Pratishthan, Professor P.V. Krishna Bhatt, Dr. Srinath, Dr. Tejaswini Ananth Kumar, and then all the executive committee members, so who are here. I thank all of them for giving us this opportunity to take this forward. And in fact, question when we brought this topic, when we suggested this, I mean, how does this fit into Ananth Kumar Pratishthan? Artificial intelligence generally seen as a technical subject. And, but then, it impacts everybody. It impacts everybody, every walk of life it impacts. And I think that is where, it is important for us to know what is really, and how artificial intelligence is already there, whether we like it or not, it is there with us. I think that is important. And I hope, with this platform, at least, we are able to start people think in this direction and, take the things forward rather than, oh, AI means technology, nothing to do. I think we have tried to move people away from that. I think that was a thing. I thank all the guests who have come, heads of organizations. In fact, we have people not only from the educational universities and educational engineering and other schools, even from Agri University, from Agriculture University, Dharwad, Agriculture University, Bangalore, and then Indian IACR, New Delhi also, we have some of the people joining us here. So we have some gardeners. I was seeing the things, the profession, they said they're, gardeners, organic gardeners of Bangalore also, they are here. We have scientists from ISRO, Defense, MOD, DRDO, DAIT. And interestingly, we have people from all over India, from Bhubaneswar to Surat to, I think from Gorakhpur to Kanyakumari, we see a whole lot of things. In fact, I also saw in one of the chat boxes that a gentleman from Singapore University has also joined here. So I thank all the participants who have joined in large number and asked a lot of questions, made the session lively. And we also have media persons in this thing. So they are there both on WebEx as well as YouTube, covering this thing, both the vernacular media as well as English media in here, both print and the television media. So I thank all of them here, and then all the hosts that are there. Both the people who are working from behind as well as who made this possible, this platform, especially with such a large number of participants joining in. So I thank all of them, Divesh Pratap, Purna Pradnya, Mahesh Patil, Vijeta, and all of them, and all the encouragement that you have been receiving from Dr. Vishnukant Chatpalli, Gudu Inamdar, K. Harish, all of them. So I thank all of them, and I think and anybody else whom I have not named now, but they have been always been part of our team. So I thank everyone here. So thank you so much.
Pradeep, how do you use the artificial intelligence to pass on the memento which Purna Prajna is doing? Memento is there. Memento is there. It's visible now.
Interesting.
Can you present that memento?
Memento is it's visible.
Yes,
It's a little backside. Yeah, we will we will use Dunzo or something.
Yeah, but then I think we will send them across. Physically, it has there with our. Yes.
Purna Prajna, Vijaya Deepti's memento, please. Vijaya Deepti's memento. Yes, that's yours. We will send it across.
Send it across. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you one and all. Yeah. Over.
Thank
Back to
you.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes.
It has been a great honor to be here online.
Thank you, sir. We will connect. We request you to come to Bangalore once all these things are clear, and I would like to invite
Sure,
you
man.
to.
I will definitely be there.
Thank you so much. We will keep in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.